Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. Yes, it's again a baking video. I thought, what can be cooler than combining two awesome things in life together? First there is the cake, and everyone loves cake, and then there is the pouring. And I just recently came across the mirror glazing technique, which a million people already did on the internet and can be found overall on YouTube, so this is nothing really original, but I wanted to give it a try. And of course, I hope you want to follow me along, and if you're totally not into baking and just want to see the fun pouring part, just feel free to jump to the end of the video and have a look at this there. For those of you having a birthday coming or the next family reunion, or just are so much into cake that you want to bake one for yourself, no blame there, I totally can relate to it. Yeah, if you want to join along, you can have a look at the entire video, of course. I will give you my recipes, which I've used for this, but there are millions of different kinds of recipes over there. So if you want to have your cake recipe, just go ahead and use it. If you want to use your mirror glaze or your buttercream recipe, just use yours. It's totally fine. It's just one that I picked from the internet and went for it. So nothing that only I have ever done. But without further ado, let's start with the dough making. And here is what I used. It is 250 grams of sugar, 250 grams of butter or sunflower oil, 500 grams flour, 250 milliliters of milk, 1 package of baking powder or 1 tablespoon, whatever your measurements are, 1 package of vanilla sugar, 5 eggs, a little bit of salt because every cake needs some salt, and I use bitter almond aroma. You can use whatever aroma you want, or some lemon zests, or just nothing, whatever you want. And I used some food coloration because it is a rainbow cake. What else? If you do not want to have your cake colorful, just leave the colors out. And the entire mixing process itself is not that fancy. You just combine all the ingredients and mix it together. I'm using a hand mixer here, but you can also use your plain hands if you want to spend the muscle energy in there, or just whatever cake making special devices you have in your kitchen. So just feel free to mix it in the way that you prefer. I'm not really an expert. I think you should combine all the dry ingredients first and then add the liquid ingredients and the eggs in the end and the baking powder in the very end. I really don't know, and I honestly really don't care so much, so please don't hate me for this. I just add everything in the way that I think might work best, and as everything is mixed together in the very end, I'm totally fine with this. Whatever your way is. And once my dough was mixed, I just separated it into different kinds of bowls to add the food coloration. And the food coloration that I'm using are pigment gels. So I just ordered them on Amazon because I needed something really colorful for my glazing in the very end. Because the food coloration that I can get in the regular grocery stores are not that strong, so I needed something stronger. And this is what I recommended once. And you probably don't even care, but it was food coloration gel, which worked pretty awesome, just as a side note. So when my dough was mixed and colored, I just used my baking form and made small blobs of dough into this in whatever shape you want it to be. I made 3 cakes in a row, so I mixed a bit more of everything than I would need it, or than you will probably need, and baked them. And baking was about 50 to 60 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. And because I was curious, I made a round one, a heart-shaped one, and a square one. And as most cakes are not even when they are baked, I just had to do the first tweaking when everything was cooled down. So I used a knife, cut around the upper edge of the cake, inserted a string and just pulled the string together. You can see it here in the video. This will cut off the upper top of the cake and you have an even surface in the very end. To tweak it even more, I again cut the cake in half because I want to add a layer of ganache into it, just to give it more calories, you know? And a good thing, because the chocolate ganache is in the middle of the cake, you won't see it, so it's basically not there, so the calories do not count at all. So yeah, this is what I did for all the cakes, and you can of course use whatever other approach you have to cut your cake in slices, or you can just leave it out and don't fill in the ganache if you think it's better. When it comes to the ganache, there is again multiple ways of approaching this. I added here the recipe for a very simple one, which is just the chocolate, some cream, some honey, and if needed, some butter. Basically, I also do pralines, so if you want to see this happening in a video as well, just let me know and I can show you how I make pralines. So these Marc de Champagne pralines and such. I can show you how it works if you want to see this in a video, but I didn't want to extend this too much because this still is an art channel and I do not want to bore anyone. So this is just a basic recipe. You can tweak it in every direction. So if you want to have the ganache a bit thicker, you can use more chocolate or less cream. You can also add more honey and you can even tweak it with some flavors. So I, for example, like to add some egg liquor when it comes closer to Christmas, or Baileys, because Baileys works always for everything. And this gives it a bit more an elevated taste in the end. So, but there is no need to. But if we add some liquors, just reduce the amount of cream a bit and you will get a feeling for this very quickly. So as long as the mixture is warm, everything is very liquid, and the colder it gets, the more it settles and gets thicker. But other than that, you can really tweak it in every direction. You can also use dark chocolate if you do not want to have white chocolate. So just play around. But just have in mind, the darker the chocolate, the more solid it is going to get. So the higher the amount of cocoa into it, the harder the chocolate itself is, and the more of cream you're going to need to have it somewhat creamy in the very end. So, but experiment with it, just do it. And basically this mixture, when it's about 40 degrees Celsius something, only roughly measured, you can apply it onto your cakes. So it is still liquid enough to soak a bit into the cake itself, but not running all over. And once this is applied, you just add another layer or layers, depending on how many layers you're going to make, on top of it and put it in your fridge to let it settle. Just as a small side note, because this really makes fun, don't make your cake too high, because it's gaining a lot of weight, and the higher your cake, the more the down layers are squished in the very end. While all these cakes were chilling in the fridge, it was time to make the buttercream. Each and every one of you might have his own favorite recipe. I personally do not make this so often, so I just went the simple approach. Use whatever method you like and whatever you are used to use. So as this is a special video for my channel, feel free to leave your best working all-time favorite buttercream recipe in the comment box below for each and everyone to see it and to share amongst you if you like. I'm really sure there are many recipes out there. I myself am just using the same amount butter as I use powder sugar or icing sugar, however you call it, and mix it together, add a couple of spoons of cream again, just to make it somewhat binding together. You can also use sweetened condensed milk if you like. So I had some cream left from the other mixtures, so I just used this one, whatever you like to go for. So I put everything in my kitchen machine and mix it around for quite a long time. If you've never done buttercream before, just make sure that your butter is really soft. So put it in your kitchen for about 1 or 2 hours so that it is room temperature. Put it into your kitchen machine and let it beat it for a couple of minutes until the butter itself is getting almost white, whiter, so only soft yellowish tone, and you can really see a difference by then. So you get much air into it and it gets fluffier. And then bit by bit add the icing or powder sugar. And again, let it beat for forever, as long as you like. You will see when everything is bound together and you can probe it every now and then, just for curiosity, I'd say. So I had a testing spoon in there a couple of times, I'd say. I let all of my cakes chill for a couple of hours to really make sure that the ganache layer into it is really cured and that the cakes itself are really cold, because I did not want to have anything moving around and everything as solid as possible. And then I added the first layer of buttercream. I'm really no professional on this, so I just used a normal spatula and did the best that I can. I know I could have done better, but this was my first attempt, so I'm really proud of myself. And I just made a layer over all of the cake and made it as even as I could at this time. And when I was somewhat happy, I put it into the freezer and froze it. And this will make everything even more solid. And I made this to the entire 3 cakes. I let it be there until the next morning. Reason behind, when you freeze it, the buttercream itself gets as hard as possible, and once this was really cold, I added another layer of buttercream to it, just a thin one to smoothen out more of these bumps, just to make it even smoother. And when you apply a second coat on an already frozen cake, you really have to hurry because this stuff is getting hot as well. Again, I could have done better though, but for me, for this attempt, it was really fine. And then I froze it again for a couple of hours. During the end of the time I wanted my cakes to freeze in the freezer, I started preparing all my materials that I'm going to use for the glazing. And as my camera was running out of energy, I just made a couple of photos from the process of the creating of the mirror glaze, because I didn't want to have my footage ending somewhere in the middle. So again, here are a couple of dozens recipes on the internet that I've seen. I just picked one of them because I already had these ingredients here. There are some more complex ones, some easier ones. For this one I used 60 milliliters of water, 150 grams of sugar, again more sugar, and 100 grams of chocolate. I used white one, 20 milliliters of cream, and 10 grams of gelatin. This gelatin has to be soaked with water, and of course you will need some food coloration, because in the end you want the glazing to be the most colorful, don't you? Step 1. Making glucose syrup. And this was just adding the water and the sugar into a pot and let it boil. Actually, if you do have glucose syrup available in your home, just use this and you can spare this part. I did not have glucose syrup, so I had to go this step and just boiled everything together. It will be boiling at around 105 degrees Celsius, so I let it boil, let it combine into the syrup, and then turn off the heat. Once this was done, I let it sit for a couple of minutes to cool down a bit and added the cream to it. So you can put it right away into the hot stuff. Once this was done, I also added the chocolate and stir around until everything is smooth of consistency, because you don't want to have any blobs of something in your mixture in the very end, and let it cool down a bit more. When it has about 60 degrees Celsius, you can add your water gelatin into it and stir it until everything is dissolved into each other. And then you have actually to wait until you have your working temperature, which is about 40 degrees Celsius. You do not want to have it too hot when you work with it, because if you pour it over your buttercream, the warmer it is, the more likely it is that your buttercream layer melts on top and that it reacts weirdly. So I went about 40 degrees Celsius. This is a temperature that you already have the consistency as you have when you do the acrylic pouring. So something most of you might be familiar with. And what I did here you can see actually in the video. So I put all the cakes on my cake holder that the drip off can drip off and put over it. I separated the main mixture, which is a lot here because I made 3 cakes. I separated them into smaller cups, and it's really cups this time, and added the food coloration, which worked really great. I also had some gold glitter food color, which worked awesome. And for this one I wanted to have it really golden, so I tried adding some white pigments to the first cup and add the gold there, but this totally did not work. So I just used the chocolate, which is a bit yellowish because of the white chocolate, added it there, and this went brilliantly. So it really looked awesome golden. Awesome stuff. The other pigment pastes I just put into my mixture and stirred it around. Beautiful strong colors. I'm really happy that I got those. And other than that, it is really just like a dirty pour. You put everything into your cup, pour it over there, and hope for the best. You can, as I did, tilt it a bit. You can, of course, play a bit around or add more. You will have a lot of drip off, of course. This is just part of the deal in this case. Make sure that all your edges are covered. If you did a better job with the buttercream than I did, your edges will be covered automatically. I did have some bumps in there, so it wasn't completely coverage, perfectly smooth at the edges, but well, it's for me, it's for myself. Everything that counted was the look and the taste, so all was good for me. So when the first one was done, I went on with the hard mixed, again, food coloration into my mixture and put it over there. And the hard, wow, it really looked awesome. These colors were great, and the overall look, hey, it's a hard cake. So what else do you need? Third one, I wanted to go a bit fancy. This is the square one, and I thought about, hey, can you do a swipe? Can you do a swipe in mirror glazing? And I wanted to try a swipe. Side note, no silicone added there. Yeah, I just applied my colors, and at this point they really got a bit thicker because the time it took to make the other two. So I put it onto my induction field again to warm it up a bit, not boiling it, just a couple of degrees to get it more liquid again, and then went for the last pour. Added the colors, put it over there like in a swipe, and used my spatula and swiped it. It worked great, it really worked great. I would have loved if at least some cells would be happening, but hey, I never expected this to happen. But it would have been super fun, wouldn't it? And yeah, it really looks awesome. My colleagues were super happy at work eating this. They were really amazed about it. Patrick's colleagues as well. And the last one we just brought home to my parents yesterday, and we ate it there. So after all, this was a really fun project, and if you are into baking, you should really give it a go. Do not make this video too long. I will end this here, and I hope that everyone who joined me along my baking journey had fun and was entertained. For those of you who just jumped to the end of the glazing part, just let me know what you think about it. Did you like it? Do you want to give it a go as well? And if this was the first video of you that you've seen, please make sure to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And of course, I would love you to subscribe as well and hit the bell icon to get notified for new upcoming videos. Not so many baking videos to be expected though, but if you are into acrylic pouring, resin artwork, or realism painting, drawing, oil painting, all the stuff, Q&As, I would be really happy if you join my channel. And if you have any questions, please, as usual, let me know in the comment section below. This time I'm not going to put all the material links in the description box because it feels a bit ridiculous, but my social media is down there if you want to connect. And of course, I would be super happy to see your results. So if you give it a try yourself, tag me on Instagram or in Facebook, and I will be happy to see what you made. So thank you again for your time, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next videos. Have a great day. Bye bye.